Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and in this week's Marvel Superheroes Advanced Role-Playing Game System, I'm going to have you guys open up your book, and we're going to go, your Realms of Magic book specifically. Turn to page 33 and 35, because we're going to be talking about countering and altering spells. Alright, so let's get right into this. Unless otherwise stated under the spell's description, spells can usually be broken or altered by magic-wielding characters who meet the following restrictions. The character attempting to break the spell must have knowledge of or access of the spell that he is attempting to break or alter. He cannot attempt to break a spell that has never or seldom been experienced. Okay, there's a lot of repetitiveness in this particular paragraph. The idea here is, let's say somebody uses a spell, like let's say the rings of the rings of Cyttorak, okay, the Crimson Bands of Cyttorak on you. You can also use the rings of Raggador around you, and just all these things that are going to bind you and lock you up. If you are locked up, you cannot cast universal or dimensional spells anymore. You can only cast personal spells. All right. And by doing this, you severely hamper the player in question. Now, or it could be whatever the NPC. The point is, when you do this, you could also potentially counter or even reverse the spell, alter the spell, something along those lines. In order to do that, several things have to take place. One, you have to be familiar with the spell. If you own the spell, automatic, done, psh, easy. But if not, you have to find some way to show the GM, the judge, that you have experienced that spell before. All right, either you've been practicing it with your master on the side, or somebody used the spell against you, or you saw a tournament where it was used, and it has to be something that's indelible. However, okay, it has to be something that's like, no, this actually made a profound impact on me, and I am therefore familiar with the spell. If you have the spell, that's easy. If you don't have the spell, you better have a damn good reason otherwise. All right? If not, forget it. The spell hits you and you're kind of screwed. You better have your shields up. Otherwise, sad day for you, brah. So, if you can convince the judge that you have familiarity with the spell in one form or another, then you have to make a yellow feet roll. All right? If you want to just counter this, and this is going to count as your action. Okay, you could do like a multiple actions, or this does count as a spell or as a defense at the very least. So if here's the interesting part: you can't deflect a spell if you don't have the ability to cast the spell as it was cast upon you. So while there may be the bolts of Balshak, whatever, where you get blasted by usually it's universal energy. But you could also technically use it as a dimensional spell, right? So if you yourself have the bolts of Balchek, the bolts of bedevilment, or whatever you're going to call it, and somebody goes and blasts you with them, then you can roll using your universal energy, just poof, to get that yellow feet and negate that spell. All right. If, however, you realize that this person is using dimensional energy to use this bolt of bedevilment against you, this Eldritch bolt against you. Your universal energy is not good enough. This is dimensional energy. It's on a higher plane. So you can't resist this. If you only have the ability to use personal spells, you can't resist spells. All right. If you only have access to personal and universal, then you can't resist or counter dimensional energies. If you can cast all three, then you have the potential, as long as you have that reason that showing, oh yes, I've got experience, I'm familiar with this spell that's being used against me. If you meet that criteria, bang, you have to make a yellow feet roll using your psyche in order to successfully bat away that spell. All right. If you want to, let's say, what do you call it? And all of that, that's just going to be escape. Now, when you go over to page 35, they talk about hold, escape, and reverse. All right. Escaping, the target manages to escape the spell's magical control or effects, whatever, and you do remember that you've been attacked. So if this is something that potentially alters your mind, like hypnosis or worse, a suggestion spell, anything, mental domination to make you, be stuck there in a strange state. If you're able to roll to escape that, you do remember that you have in fact been possessed. Okay, so you can just, oh, I know what you did. I know what you did last summer, or just a couple seconds ago. Last round, you're dead now. All right, this round you're dead. So reverse. Reverse is something entirely different. The target has not only escaped the attacker's magical control, but if the target's psychic rank is greater than the attacker's, then the target has seized control of the attacker's mind. If the target has a psyche equal to or less than the attacker, treat the result as only an escape. So that's something that's extra special here. All right. If they try to use something to capture you or whatever, then you have the opportunity, if your psyche is greater than the psyche of the other, all those other criteria still apply, but if your psyche is higher, you can not only bat it away, you can actually turn that spell around and alter it to cause their own spell, to attack them. Ooh, sucker! And these people are not able to just dismiss this spell because it's their own spell used against them. All right? So at this point, you have to find some other way of getting rid of it, or maybe pass an intuition feat. It really depends on the cinematics there. You should maybe be able to get rid of that, because at the end of the day, it's still going to cost you a turn. It's still going to cost you an action, right? So use it as your defense, use it as an action, multiple defense, whatever, It could be kind of interesting to see somebody cast a dimensional spell against you. You reverse the spell back onto them, and at the end of their round, they were able to cast that spell. Next round, you're able to, reverse the spell, use it against them, and then they've got to spend that round to, oh crap, get rid of that. Meanwhile, you've been casting a new dimensional spell towards them. Imagine that. That could be fun, or just overwhelm somebody and just start casting 2 universal spells at a time, a universal and a personal, whatever you got to do. Make this really cinematic. Guys, magical battles are extremely cinematic, or at least they should be, because you're talking about a wide variety of colors and shapes and everything like that. Cyclops' optic, as much as I love Cyclops, his optic beams only go but so far. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to use a straight line. I'm going to use a wide burst. I'm going to, all these different things that he does. It's still beams, crimson beams coming from his eyes, at the end of the day. Magicians, nah, bro. They are walking fireworks factories, for crying out loud. Imagine 2 fireworks factories going to town against each other. This ain't like no snowball fight, dude. This is bursts of energy, just wicked, out of control. Sometimes actually out of control. So take all of this into consideration, page 33 and 35. This one is not a particularly long one. I'm feeling really under the weather this week, guys. Sorry. Next week, I'm planning on trying to do something with Astral Combat. So that's right around the same page number and whatnot. Astral Battle is one of my absolute favorites. So I love magic in the Marvel Universe, and I love the Astral Plane. The Astral Plane is just, for me, that's like the height of it all. So I'm going to try and bring that one to you next week. We'll see how I feel. Doing these last minutes, especially on weeks like this where there are a lot of comic books. Like there are 9 indie titles that I'm reviewing this week. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I might have to miss a week. We'll see though. All right, guys. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.
Thank you.